Today I just want to tell my testimony about my life before I met the Lord, how it was when I met Him, and kind of what it was like after. So I'll just start in the beginning with my name. My name is Jamila Malika Ahmad, and that name is completely Arabic, which means beautiful queen, worthy of praise. And my dad gave me that name. And the reason he gave me that name is because when I was born, he was actually um, practicing the Islamic faith. And so through that, like he learned how to, you know, be a man and be a Muslim man. And so through that, like from the age or from the time I was born until I was 5, I like lived in a house that was like Muslim. But I don't really remember any of that. So yeah, but that was in the beginning. And however, when I turned 5, my dad had an experience where he said that he was, I don't know, I don't remember what exactly he was doing, but he said he felt the Lord kind of speak to him in his spirit and say, "It's time for you to come back to me." And so from the age that I was 5 until early middle school, or yeah, toward the end of elementary, early middle school, my family was in church all the time. Once my dad rededicated his life to the Lord, he joined the choir, and so I was in church on like Mondays, Wednesdays, no, 3 services on Sundays. Like I was in church all the time. And so growing up in there, I kind of like learned, you know, the Bible stories from the Old Testament about Noah and the burning bush with Abraham. Or was that Moses? Yeah, that was Moses. But even Abraham and Sarai, like I learned about that stuff. But it didn't really like hold any value to me. I even learned about Jonah, but I don't think I really understood what all those Bible stories were pointing to, or the purpose and significance even of the Bible in general. But I could tell you the stories, and me having the personality I did, I wanted to make sure that you knew that I knew the answers to any other questions in children's church. And also when I was like around that age, one of my neighbors, her name's, well, I don't know if her name matters, but she had Bible studies at her house all the time. So me and all the other neighborhood kids would like go to her house for children's like Bible studies throughout the week. And so that was some of my first encounters with the Lord. And I did give my life to Him when I was 7 or 8, around that age, and I did receive His Spirit at that time. But I don't think like throughout my life, like I think I just really forgot about God and turned away from Him. When I got to middle school, this was probably around the time that I actually started forgetting about Him and stopped praying to Him. I was in 6th grade, and I started getting bullied a lot, and so like through that I just started to hate myself and not feel valuable. I started to hate the color of my skin. I started to hate that I'm tall. I started to just really mentally kind of abuse myself, just based off what other people or other children at school were saying about me. And so when I told my parents about this, they were like, "Oh no, like we can't have this." And so we moved. When we made this move, they were on the verge of getting a divorce already, and so a lot of their attention wasn't really on God and like teaching me and my brothers about God. It was more on like arguing and like bickering and, you know, their own kind of problems. And so once we moved away from our church. We didn't really look for a new one, and that was, I would say that's the moment when I kind of forgot about the Lord. And so the rest of middle school and pretty much the entirety of high school, all I was concerned with was getting good grades, playing my sports. I used to play basketball and run track, and looking cute. That's all I really cared about. And so in high school, whenever I felt like my parents weren't, you know, giving me the attention that I wanted or needed, I would seek attention elsewhere. I would seek it from my teachers, from my coaches, from my friends. I remember putting a lot of pressure on my friends just to kind of, you know, be there for me all the time, or just like support me or give me all this attention, and, you know, kind of just, I don't know, I would just lean on them a lot for attention. And as I got older throughout high school, I started leaning on like guys for attention. And so just throughout high school, I would say that I did a lot of people pleasing, and I did a lot of things to get approval from other people so that I could feel value, or that so I can feel like I'm loved, or that I have attention from other people. At one point, like toward the end of my senior year, this actual approval from others like didn't hold up. It wasn't enough. I didn't get enough value, or I didn't feel loved enough. And I just that depressive state that started when I was in 6th grade from getting bullied kind of manifested itself throughout the 4 years of high school into just this really dark mindset and perspective on life in general. I started to self-harm, and I felt like sometimes I would have just wicked visions of myself just hurting myself. And those kind of visions, as they became more frequent, I actually did begin to physically harm myself. And so with that, it was just really tough. And one day my mom came home from work and found out that I'd been hurting myself physically. And she called the police, and they kind of asked me a bunch of questions, and I was like sassy with them. And I ended up going to a mental hospital. They ended up taking me there. And so I stayed in the mental hospital for 2 weeks, and I spent every day there. And I just didn't feel like anything got better. I feel like my mindset really was like, I kind of numbed out. I was like, okay, how can I coast through the rest of my life, get through this, and just get out of here? All I could think of every day was getting out. And so once they diagnosed me with having bipolar disorder, they put me on some meds, which I felt like helped at the time. I remember the first thing I told my mom when I got out was like, wow, the trees are so green. And there's some trees over here that I'm looking at, but I was like, the trees are so green. And she was like, they're always green. And I even, like, my first argument with her, and throughout my life, let me just tell you, I was a brat to both my parents. And so I would yell at them, scream at them. I physically have punched my mom, and like, it's just really bad in my life. And that's like, I guess that's just a deeper part of my testimony, that I just didn't have a good relationship with anyone in my family. I would beat up on my little brothers and yell at them, and I was just kind of a Tasmanian devil in the house. And so when we did have an argument, I think it was the same day that I got out. It really wasn't an argument. She was kind of voicing her opinion, yelling, and I was like, Mom, relax. Like, everything's good. And I just think that was the effect of that medicine, which was helpful for those moments. And so, yeah, a little bit after I got out of the hospital, I was like, wow, I want to change my life. Like, I want to do better in life, and I want to get a job. And so I asked my cousin to take me to Taco Bell so I can go to this job interview. And like, the day that I called him, he had already said yes in advance, but the day that I called him, his sister answered, which is my other cousin. And she was like, hey, he can't take you, but I can take you. And I was like, okay, sure. So she took me to the job interview, and thankfully I got the job. But throughout the rest of the day, we just kind of ran some errands with her and did what we needed to do for, I don't know, she was just doing stuff. And so I went with her. And that night when we pulled up to my house, like, to drop me off, was like crazy. It wasn't really that crazy. She pulled up, parked the car, and I was about to get out, and I was wondering, why did she park the car if I'm getting out and she's not coming in? And so she parks the car, and she kind of takes off her seatbelt and turns toward me, and she asked me, I think we just started talking about stuff. But then her eyes got really big, and she got really excited, and she started telling me that she could not let me get out of the car without just asking me this question. And I was like, okay, what is it? And she was like, God forbid, like, please, Lord, don't let this happen. And I'm like, what is it, girl? And she said, if, let's say, an airplane crashed into this car right now and you died, do you think that you would go to heaven or hell? And I was like, what kind of off the wall question is this? But I was like, well, I got baptized when I was 8, and I gave my life to the Lord, so heaven. And we kept kind of talking, and she kind of asked me stuff about like what was my prayer life like, and what's my favorite verse or my favorite book in the Bible, and I was like, one, I don't remember seeing my Bible for many years. Probably, I was thinking back to when I was in elementary school. And it was just a long time ago. And then second, I didn't pray. And so I was like, I didn't really have answers for her questions. And so as we continued our conversation, she kind of just let me know that I was this proclaimed Christian. It's basically a proclaimed Christian is someone that claims out of their mouth to have a relationship with the Lord, to know him personally, and to love him with all of their heart, mind, soul, and spirit, and strength and all that stuff. But really, the claims were false claims because they didn't know him. And so when she said that to me, I was like, does that mean that I'm not going to heaven? And she kind of was like, I remember it so clearly in my mind's eye. She was like, and so I wasn't really fazed by that. I was like, well, I'm alive right now. And all these thoughts went through my mind in like a split second. I was like, I'm alive right now, and you're telling me this, so I can't go to heaven. And so I just kind of asked her, what do I need to do to go to heaven? Like, just tell me what I need to do. And she said, well, just read and pray. Like, read your Bible and pray. And I was like, that's all I have to do to get to heaven? And she was like, pretty much. And so after that conversation, we planned for me to do this kind of prayer where I would just say, God, I'm sorry for the way that I lived my life before, and I want to live life with you now. And, we planned to say that prayer, but we didn't really set a date or a time. And when I went in the house trying to look for a Bible, I couldn't find one. And so I was like freaking out. I was like, how am I going to get to heaven if I don't have a Bible? And so we figured out that I needed to go buy one and that we still need to pray together. So 2 or 3 days later, I've been freaking out every day, like begging God to just make a way for me to get a Bible so I can read. And, I need to get to heaven. I need to get this Bible so I can read it. And so, a couple of days later, we got the Bible, and I got my name engraved on it for like $2 extra at the Bible store. But anyways, I got the Bible and I started to pray. And so all I did after I got that job was read my Bible. I would like wake up. I knew like 2 Christian songs because she played Christian music in their car, and we were kind of hanging out now. And so I played those songs in the morning. I kind of learned the lyrics and try to sing them to him. And then I would pray, and then I would read my Bible. I was reading Proverbs and the book of John, the gospel. And that's all I pretty much did. And I would just do that every day, and I would pray again, and then I would just go to work. And I would say during this time, I was not eating that much, and so I just felt like it was a quickening time for my inner spirit or something like that. And so 2 weeks later, after I guess the first day that I started reading and praying, that is the day that I actually believed that I got saved. It was July 4th, 2015. Me and my family were getting ready to do the July 4th kind of festivities. And I had, I think I woke up early. I got ready before everyone else. And they were taking too long, and I was like, I'm going to take a nap. Can you wake me up before we leave? And so I took the nap, and I remember waking up and the house was empty. My brothers weren't there, my mom wasn't there, and I was like, what? Where is everybody? And so I had to call on the house phone, and I was like, Mom, I think that you possibly left me on accident. Where are you? And she was like, oh, you were sleeping, so we just let you sleep and we left. And I was like, oh, well, can you come pick me up? It's the 4th of July. I want to eat. I want to hang out with the family, extended family, everything. And she just kind of was silent on the phone for a second. And I was like, hello, are you going to get me? And she said, I think it would be better for everyone if you just stayed home. And let me tell you, that broke my heart, but it didn't come as a shock to me. It broke my heart, and I just ate it and just was like, okay, well, I guess I'll see y'all when you get home. And so I just kind of hung up, and we just hung up. And so after we hung up, I just started looking around the house, what can I do for her? What can I do to make our relationship better. I know, and I was kind of talking to God too, like, I know I've been a terrible kid my whole life, and I was 17 at this point, and I was just like, God, please help me. I don't know what to do. And so I came to the kitchen, there were a couple of dishes there, so I was like, I'll wash dishes. Maybe that'll make her forgive me or love me or something. So I started washing the dishes, and I turned on this song, one of my favorite songs at the time. It's called Oceans. And I turned on that song, and it was on replay, so I was just washing the dishes and singing the lyrics. And this one part, it goes, Spirit lead me where my faith is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters, wherever you may call me. And I was singing that part, and she sings it about 6 or 7 times. And at one point, I just felt like the Lord had washed me. I felt like He'd cleaned me. I felt like He restored me, and I just kind of took my hands out of the water and stepped back from the sink, and I just was like, God? And I just felt like, and the sun started shining. I mean, it could have been a coincidence, but it was just a lot in that moment. I think that happened internally, just kind of a shift in everything that I was. And so I would say that was the moment where God's Holy Spirit came into me, or maybe just, I don't know, maybe that was the point where I got rededicated, if I had really been saved when I was 8. And so yeah, that was just the moment that it happened, and I just really am thankful for that time. I'll never forget that day or that moment. And when my family got home, I was so happy to see them. And over time, my relationship with them has changed and morphed. And now me and my mom are besties. I love her so much. I love her so much. But yeah, and I just want to tell you a little bit about my life after that moment, because a lot of people think that if you get saved, it's just like, I did this, now my life's gonna be perfect. And I want to let you know that is not completely the perspective that I have. My life has been, I wouldn't say perfect, but I think that it's been completely transformed. And every day I find joy in every day, just because the Lord is with me. But yeah, so a little bit after I got saved, the Lord kind of made it clear that I should go to a college in Memphis called Christian Brothers University. And there I went to study biochemistry. Well, I wanted to study pre-pharm so I could be a pharmacist. But they didn't have pre-pharm, so I just studied biochemistry. And so I got into chemistry classes, got into the bio classes, did the math that I needed to do. And yeah, throughout my time there, the Lord just really taught me a lot about myself, about how to have relationships with other people. It's just like his friendships, and even some things about like romantic relationships. And yeah, and so that time right there, my whole 4 years in college were very transformative for my spiritual walk. I would say like every year something huge was like God was teaching me something huge every year, I would say. And so yeah, and I ended up God ended up showing me that right now pharmacy isn't the thing for me. And that was kind of a crazy thing for me, because since I was a freshman in high school, I was planning in my own plans to become a pharmacist. And so when the Lord kind of revealed that wasn't going to happen as soon as I graduated, I was a little shocked. However, just throughout college, I did realize that I do love research. And so if I do like pharmacy and I love research, maybe I can do some type of pharmacokinetic research in the future. I don't know. But however, what I do know is that the Lord currently does not have me in that field. Right now, I teach the Bible at this For Hope Presbyterian Church at their church plant ministry. It's called Oasis of Hope. And it is so fun. I love working there. I work with elementary school students and middle school students, and just living life with them, it's fun, and they are just wild. Pray for them and me. Pray for all of us at Oasis. But yeah, I teach the Bible there, and so through the passion that was cultivated in my heart throughout my years of college and after I became a believer, I just get to now pour that out to little babies. And Jesus even said in his word that out of the mouth of children is perfected praise. Um, and so, yeah, I do that. And even in August, I'll be leaving the country to go teach English in China. And so you can imagine what that's going to be like, completely different. But just as I know that the Lord has been with me my whole life, he's been with me my whole life, even if I refuse to recognize him. And so even as he's been with me my whole life, I know that he's going to continue to be faithful and provide for me whatever I need. And so yeah, and so I just kind of want to tell all those things and share about my life. My parents did end up getting a divorce, and me and my brothers have been able to kind of cope with that with the Lord and with each other. And like my younger brothers are not currently believers, but I know that God is working on their hearts to save them. And so if I could ask anything, it would be to pray for my students, pray for my coworkers, and pray for my brothers. Also pray for my parents. They are believers now. Hallelujah. And I'm just praying for the rest of my family. So thank you for listening to my testimony. That's pretty much all I have. Oh, pray for me for sure. Yeah. So thank you so much, and have a blessed day.